Goedenavond. I just came from another lecture from the series about national stereotypes. This time we're discussing the Dutch nation, Dutch people. Not very big country. Holland takes not many quadrat kilometers, but a big nation. The Dutch people are almost as numerous as all Scandinavians put together. So no matter that they had also their epoch of a great cultural influence over the rest of Europe, as the Scandinavians had in the 10th and 11th century, the Dutch have it in 16th and 17th, first and foremost in the golden era, the golden age of the 17th century, after which it came the time when all the other nations grew stronger in relation to the Dutch, and the Dutch were getting weaker in comparison. And that's why the 18th century in Dutch historiography is often called a little bit in a derogatory way, Pruikentijd, the time of Whigs. Okay, I am dressed as a Dutch paratrooper because we were discussing the Dutch. So this is the gala uniform, of course. So as usual, when we discuss not so powerful nations, although sometimes it's being said that the Dutch, maybe the Netherlands are not an empire or a very strong power, but it's maybe better not to put it into some wager. Maybe it's but it's not smart to challenge the Netherlands. Maybe it's better not to check if the Dutch people and the Netherlands are really not a power. Maybe they are a power to be reckoned with. Okay, so but generally the Netherlands are not believed to be a great power. So they are of course not described as loud or aggressive or something like this, as all the big nations we have discussed were described. All of them. France, Russia, United States, the Americans, the Germans, the British, and so on and so on. They were all described sometimes. All of them were described as either loud or aggressive or something. The Dutch and the Swedes, of course, not. Why? Because they are small nations. So, okay, not so many negative characteristics mentioned. As usual, we have put a table with three columns, in which one with bad characteristics, second with controversial or characteristics or neutral characteristics, and the third with positive ones. And there were almost no negative. The only two negative characteristics mentioned was that the Dutch people are a little bit too keen on drugs, on narcotics, and that they have a national identity problem. I don't think that the Dutch people have national identity problem. I think the national identity is very strong indeed. I think that although they are polyglots, they don't think about themselves as Europeans, as the Germans, for instance, think. The Germans have this tendency to stressing that they are Europeans, to hide a little bit its German quality behind the European quality. Okay, the other thing is, so I don't really agree with the characteristics mentioned by one of the students, or maybe two of the students. When it comes to too much keen on narcotics, I think it comes to the fact that the Dutch people are a little bit similar to the liberal states in the United States of America. The Dutch people are very often described as the most American European nation. So they have the same tendency to praise liberty. Because when we are looking on all the other nations of Europe, maybe except the British, they have this authoritarian tendency. For instance, they are making all the subjects taboo. They try to avoid discussions about immigration, about race, about different things. And the Dutch people, they are not avoiding. They like discussion, they like liberty, and they like freedom of speech. Unlike the French, unlike the Germans, unlike the Poles, and so on. So the Dutch are really liberal, like the Americans, and they a little bit are similar to the approach that is shown in, for instance, Colorado, when there's also a very liberal politics towards drugs. And